welcome to another episode of
All Things Bloom.
We are Bloom Beyond the Walls, and this podcast is brought to you by our outreach program. And the mission for Bloom Beyond the Walls is to improve safety and wellness in Lehigh Valley through community education and prevention services, outreach and advocacy that leads to restoration. And we just want to warn you today that some of the things we may mention and the content in our discussion may be graphic. If you or someone you know is experiencing human trafficking or sexual exploitation, please call the human trafficking hotline at 1-888-373-7888 or call our Bloom intake line at 484-268-8581. And currently there are an estimated 27.6 million victims of human trafficking globally. Where we sit right now in Pennsylvania is eighth in the United States for reported trafficking cases. And what is worse, Lehigh Valley is one of the hotspots in Pennsylvania for human trafficking and sexual exploitation. And if you're wondering what human trafficking is, according to the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, human trafficking is the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of a person by means of the threat or use of force, fraud, coercion, or deception for the purpose of exploitation. And one of the things that we do here at Bloom for Women is we provide residential services. We are currently culminating the celebration of 10 years of providing safe housing. But before I go any further, I have some beautiful ladies with me today, and I want to allow them to introduce themselves. So I'll have you go.
Hi, my name is Rebekah Fridgman, and I'm the store manager of my sister's closet.
And this beautiful lady.
I'm Ashley Stevens, and I was a participant at Bloom and a 2023 graduate.
Awesome. And I didn't introduce myself. I am Sheniqua Mitchell, and I am the outreach manager here at Bloom for Women. And one of the prides and joys of our program is our residential program. We have 5 homes. We have 5 homes. 2 of them are a 2-year program where ladies get to come in. When they're ready to exit the life, work on their recovery, work on their mental health, heal themselves, and find restoration. We have 2 transitional homes, and we also have a home for mom and babies. And so this beautiful lady that sits with us today is a graduate of one of our residential programs. And so at the culminating of celebrating 10 years of safe housing, we thought it would be amazing to have someone who has the testimony of what the residential program has been for her life, for the life of her family. So if I can lead out with a question, I call her Ash. Ash, can you tell us a little bit about your background before entering the residential program?
So when I got to Bloom, I had nothing. I was homeless. I came with like a garbage bag of clothes. I had no license, no job, no health insurance. I didn't have my kids in my life. I was on parole in 2 states. I just couldn't stay out of jail, and I was really at a point in my life where I just wanted to die. It was rough.
Wow. I appreciate you sharing and being so transparent with that. I think one of the things that is often misunderstood when we talk about trafficking and sexual exploitation, because some of our residents are on the trafficking side of things, and then other of our residents are on the sexual exploitation, but each person's story, right, is unique, and how they came to Bloom is unique. So what would you say that you think is important for people to know about human trafficking or sexual exploitation, or even just coming to the decision that, hey, I need help and I need to find somewhere safe where I can be?
For a long time, I think we sit a lot with guilt and shame, right? And it's so hard to reach out for help. So I struggled a long time with men in my life who would use me for things, and I needed a place to stay. I needed a fix, whatever it was, and I think a lot of times we attract to the people that do this to us. Like that's all we're worth in a way.
Yeah.
I felt very worthless for a really long time. And yeah, coming to the decision was I was just at the end of my road. You know, I hit my knees in a jail cell and for the first time
Wow.
prayed to God, you know, help me. I need help or I'm gonna die.
Wow.
And that's really where I was. I came in very willing and God gave me that strength.
Wow. We were talking a little bit prior to coming on, and we were looking at what the percentage is to make it through a residential program, right? Because a residential program can't be easy. Or what would you say? I think I was in the back sharing that 80% of it is like a made up mind and
Mhm.
saying, Becca, like I want help and I'm ready for this change. And then 10% is like having the right environment. And then the other 10% is like actually walking the program out. So before I shift to Becca to see if she for her to ask you a question, what would you say was like, okay, so you came to this epiphany, like I need help or I'm gonna die.
Yep.
You cried out for help and you did the hard work of actually like reaching out to find a program. But what were the difficulties in adapting to what residential life looks like? What does residential life look like?
Oh, when I got here, oh, we had 8 women in the house.
Mm.
And I walked in and everyone loved me.
Nice.
They loved me. They were so nice. You know, like I said, I came with like no clothes. I had nothing, you know, and like they were all going through their stuff to like get me
Wow.
clothes that would fit me, you know, because when I got to jail, I was 110 pounds.
Wow.
And then you start eating and, you know, taking care of yourself and you get, you know, so nothing I had in the bag fit me anyway, you know, so you come and it's like, and yeah, so I was very loved and I'm not going to say it was easy. It's every day is a fight. You know, you have triggers, you know, but I just kept getting up and fighting. And as I sat in the program longer, women came behind me and I'm like, if I give up, you don't
Mm.
know how many women have looked at me and been like, that, you know, I've come home crying hysterically, wanting
Yeah.
to give up many times, you know, and I remember in my bedroom, I would keep my kids' pictures on the wall next to me because there were so many days I did not want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
And I would look at them.
Yeah.
That's what kept me going.
Yeah. Yes, we got tissue today. We got tissue. Yes.
So, yeah.
That's amazing and it's so powerful. And one of the things that we love about this particular young lady right here is her selflessness. And I think one of the things that can transform your life is when you start healing to the point where you see things beyond yourself.
Right.
And so it becomes my children and what's going to happen for them. But then it becomes, and one of the things that, and we'll talk about in a minute, like some of the things we do at Bloom is we light a candle, right? We light a candle for that sister or that child or someone who's still out there. But even before physically lighting the candle gets lit in your heart.
Oh, yeah.
It gets lit in your heart. To where you start saying that what I do here, it paves the way
Yes.
for somebody else. That's amazing. Becca, go ahead.
Okay.
So my first question for you is, what role has a residential program played in your recovery process?
So being in the residential program, I was one of the stipulations is to go to Recovery Revolutions. And I had tried going there so many times before and never made it. I always got thrown out. And it was crazy because my counselor there happened to be my counselor every time. So when I came back this time, I went in and I was honest. And there was like, you know, I went to groups 5 days a week for almost 3 months because I was so afraid to go back to where I was. And just the going to meetings, you know, Narcotics Anonymous meetings, all of those things are, you know, stipulations in the house to help you move forward. You know, and I'm grateful for that because, you know, today I have 3 sponsees, you know, like I've worked 10 steps. Like this journey for me isn't just about me anymore. You know, it's about other people.
Yeah.
And
love that.
that's a gift.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that.
So next question is, how long have you been in recovery for?
3 years and 3 months.
Ah,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Yeah.
We love that.
Yeah, I just, yeah.
You know, one of the things that I started out at Bloom as an intern, and I remember being in the residential program and getting invited to go to the meetings. And the most amazing day is that white key tag when you get that first key
Yeah.
tag that says that I went a day, right?
Yeah, just for today.
It
Yep.
was, it was just for today. And to think about going from the white key tag to years
Yeah.
and months, that is amazing. Did you see that for yourself as a possibility when you came into
No.
like the residential? Because I know, like you said, you were homeless, right? So
Yeah.
the biggest thing is like I have somewhere to lay my head.
Yeah.
But what were your expectations, and do you feel like you've gotten more than you expected out of your experience?
Oh, definitely. I have this village, right? This family that I can't even tell you has girls, new girls that come into the house, people that have come before me. Like we have this relationship right now. I have this family that I can count on for anything. I could call any staff member at Bloom, which I hate calling them staff members, but for you, they are staff members, but they're my family.
Yeah.
I can call them anytime and they would be there for me like that.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't even be a question. And when you go from having nothing and nobody to just people that use you and abuse you,
Yeah.
to having these people that love you and care for you and like just want you to be better and do better, it's like I never expected I'd be where I am today. Because I'm telling you, I have a very full and blessed life.
Right. Right.
Really.
I love that. Was it hard to, I know you said you were loved, right, when you came into the residence, so that's good because just coming into being homeless and then now coming into a space where it's shared,
Yep.
you know, it's shared, there's roommates and all of those things. But did you find it difficult to accept the love that was being given, having not come from that? Was it difficult to accept that? And like what, and if it was, what were some of the challenges and like how did you navigate that?
I think the biggest thing was the trust because you come in, you don't trust anybody,
Yeah.
not even yourself. So, I think at first you think, oh my God, is this real? Because it was just, but they didn't stop no matter what you did. You couldn't push them away because they just, and for me, I just wanted it so badly that it didn't matter. Cause I'm not saying that living with 7 other women was easy because, there were arguments and there were, it's not easy with all these different personalities and all these rules. And I'll tell you, chores was the biggest thing, Oh my God, it was. I'm not going to even lie to you. But, but at the end of the day, we all struggled with the same things. And I think as we go on in the program, we realize that. So for me, when someone else would come in and I would say, I love you, they would kind of look at me like, you don't even, like, you don't even know me.
Yeah.
I don't need to know you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'm grateful that Bloom instilled that into me, like that love piece, because now I can do it with everyone around me.
Yeah.
That could save someone's life. That can make someone,
Yeah.
So
I love that because it really says that love is unconditional and I don't have to know your story per se
right.
Just to give you love because love heals. Our production manager is sitting here, she has on the t-shirt.
Yeah.
And it's true.
But
love,
it does.
Love heals and it transforms and we are a faith-based organization. So it's important to live that out. And we have watched that. And you're sitting here saying that love was that. And now it is the gift that you get to give to others. Becca, I don't know if there's something you want to share.
So what kind of support has been the most helpful for you in your healing journey? You talked about the houses a little bit, but what else has been really helpful for you?
My children, they've been a big help. Bringing them into Bloom, and like kind of bringing them into this world that they knew nothing about. But one of the best things ever was when I finally did get my children, they said to me, like the day you went to Bloom, we knew things were going to be different. And it's like, how did they know?
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
But they said, we knew that this time you would do it. And yeah, that was amazing. And just also like, so this office used to be down here and now it's in Bethlehem. But I was in here all the time in everyone's office. There was, because all their offices were here. So I'd be in there just, blah, 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 blah. They were probably so tired of me, but it's healing. You tell your story and you're never judged. And some of the stuff I would say to them would be crazy. Even our CEO, I'd be in there and she'd be like, really? but they accepted me and they loved me and they never judged me.
Wow.
It was never, oh, you're bad. It was, well, what can we do to help
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Or what's,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
also, um, the rooms, you know, the Narcotics Anonymous, I built like this huge foundation of people. Like, honestly, I really went to a lot of meetings. Like, I probably did like 10 meetings a week. I went
Mhm.
crazy,
Mhm.
but it was just because I knew I really needed it.
Yeah.
So I built a really big community, and also my church. I have an amazing pastor, amazing church family, and he helped me a lot in my journey too by baptizing me. You know, the moment I was baptized, like a lot of my shame and guilt lifted. Just like, you know, like if I could be forgiven,
Yeah.
then I can forgive myself. And that really started my journey
That's so good.
Yeah.
on forgiving myself and being able to look at myself in the mirror and
Yeah.
say that you love yourself.
I love that. And one of the things about having the 2 years, that when you said that, I'm thinking about the time that it requires. And hopefully this is an encouragement for other organizations for what you can do within your means. 90 days is a thing and 6 months is a thing, but it really takes time to get stabilized,
Right.
for one. With your medications, with your recovery, with just settling into having a routine and a stable life. But then there's the part where you get to you need the time for community building and to build relationships. And it's so funny how she's mentioned this place where we are sitting right now. If you notice, this is not our normal set. We are on location for the first time. So we are bringing this episode to you from our Bloom Creative Studio. And so everything that you see that is in the background is survivor made. So we're sitting in this room where all this healing, this help, this hope, and this creativity has happened. But this at one point was the offices. And so it's just amazing to see how long you've been here, to see things grow and evolve, and to be able to give back into this work. I think something you said that struck me. You said my kids knew that this time it was going to be different, but that's that 80% of the made up mind that showed up. Like when you showed up to Bloom, it wasn't so much of what Bloom did for you off the back, but it's how you showed up here and what you were requiring Bloom to do for you. And I think it's important to know what you need, and have a concept of yourself, and have people that while you're in the office saying crazy things, they're receiving what you're saying, because the detox is not only from the drugs. If there's a substance use, right? The detox comes from the mindset of having been abused and been exploited, or the loneliness, or if you're struggling with mental health things. So I love that I'm hearing you say, that I got the time to do the process of, of what that looks like, and being accepted as you're going through that process. Becca, I'm gonna hand it off to you.
So the next thing, what would you say to encourage new participants to come into Bloom?
Ooh.
Good one, right?
Yeah, Bloom is special. It really is. Like, I struggled for over 2 decades. I left my home as a 15-year-old child and never looked back, which put me in a lot of vulnerable situations. And I know that 2 years seems like such a long time. If you want to believe it, I stayed for 2 years and 2 months. I stayed a little bit longer because what I wanted wasn't what I needed and wanted was not where it was at that time. So I needed it to be where I needed to be. And they never said, oh, you have to leave, your 2 years is up, No, I stayed 2 months until I found the place that I wanted, that I can bring my children to and be there, So it seems like such a long time, but it isn't. It goes by so fast. And what is 2 years?
Yeah.
To be able to get your children back, to get a
come
full-time job,
Yeah.
to get a driver's license,
And a car.
Yeah. And then to be able to see other women come in and teach them how to drive and help them get a license, right?
That's awesome.
Sponsor them, love them, and then watch them prosper and grow. So it's like, it feels so good when you give back. So just try, be willing, and it's not for everybody. Some people don't always last the 2 years, but that little bit of seed that gets planted when you come, you just don't get it out of your head, So there's people that do leave, but they still make it.
Absolutely. I love what you said there because that has a lot to do. I want to shift a little bit to talk about staff.
Okay.
And because it takes a special type of staff. And
Mhm.
one of the things that we do have here, we have a lot of survivor leaders
Mhm.
that work in our program. We have people that don't have anything to do with the life or any sort of sexual exploitation. So what would you say are important qualities for a staff member to have as being a part of the residential part of the program?
Um, just being able to listen, not push on things, like, like, don't pull things out of me, let me talk to you.
Yeah.
Just being loving, caring, kind,
Mhm.
and just being there is a big thing.
Yeah.
Their offices were always open. I could go in at any time, and
Mhm.
and I always just felt comfortable around them. I don't know what it was. It was
Mhm.
just I could be open with them,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And I think being trauma informed too helps,
Mm.
just because you never, you know what I mean? Like, I was willing from the beginning to share my story. I don't know
Yeah.
why. It was a seed that, this is something God blessed me with, was to be able to tell my story and help others. And
Yeah.
that's how I see it. But not everyone's going to be like that.
That's true.
So you have to be open to that. And they
Mhm.
never forced anything out of me. It was just something I wanted to do.
Yeah. I love
So,
that. I love that. When I'm listening to her, I'm hearing her say that there's a culture of openness.
mhm.
That was there, and I have to say that like we're always laughing when we're running around the office or the residential program. Like we should have a camera following us
Yeah.
behind the scenes because
GoPros.
yeah, like GoPros because it is this culture of openness and acceptance,
Mhm.
and that goes across gender, race,
Mhm.
religion. You find that that is the culture there. And one of the things I love about our CEO and kind of the culture that we have, we eat together every day. We sit at the table,
Mhm.
and the thing about that, it says that all are welcomed
Yeah.
Mhm.
here, at the table, all have a place at the table. And when you think about that for residential programs, that's important
Yes.
because of the trust factor and the
Mhm.
trust issue. People need to feel invited and they need to feel seen and they need to have a people on the receiving end that says, however you are right now,
Is okay. Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
okay. And I'm willing to walk with you and hold your hand through it while you go through those things. And one of the things that we've seen participants leave and not do the 2 years and absolutely come back.
Great.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so we're also an organization that gives second chances. And
Yes.
maybe some people even we have a graduate who shared last week. She came in 3 times.
Mhm.
And her third time was her charm
Yeah.
for her. And so thank you for sharing that. That is something for us to, to continue to keep in mind. Um, to have that openness as staff members.
Mhm.
What would you say is the most significant thing that you learned about yourself being in the program for 2 years? What is something? Oh, it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be one thing. It can be a couple things. But what are the significant things that you learned about you, good or bad?
I learned that I was a leader, and I really didn't
Ah.
know that I was, and it just happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I start, like, detoxing off the drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you start, like, I was like, I never thought I would see myself in a church,
Yeah.
and now I'm the one in the front row with my hands raised
Yeah.
high,
Come on.
praising God,
Yeah.
like, um, there's just like being a leader and just being an inspiration to other women,
Mm-hmm.
is an amazing feeling. I'm strong, I'm independent, like, I work really hard, I have a really good work ethic. There's so many things that I never thought I had
Mm-hmm.
that I do, and I have, I'm whole again,
Yeah.
There are days where I'm not going to say we have the easiest days,
Yeah.
like,
Mm-hmm.
trauma comes up, you know, a smell, a song, you drive by somewhere, like, it's going to come up.
Yeah.
I'm not ever going to say that that will ever go away.
Mm-hmm.
But I have my children who I love so much. I can go to sleep at night and they're in the next room sleeping safe. And I know that,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm whole.
I
I can't.
every episode to be me to get ready to cry. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. That is that is so amazing. And I think I don't know if I've ever said this to you, but I have said this about her. I think one of the phenomenal things that I enjoy and having interacted with you is that in the same place you fell,
Mhm.
I watched God raise you up
Yeah.
and restore your life.
Yeah.
And that is an amazing just testament of your willingness to do the work and
Yeah.
to yield to all of the processes, whatever those look like,
Mhm.
good or bad. I heard you say that you sponsor. That you
Yes.
have. She has 3 sponsees.
Yes.
Um, so, but I also heard her name's ring bell, and she laughed at me before we came on. I said your name rings bells in these recovery streets because
Yeah.
she is known in the rooms
Mhm.
as a no nonsense. I'm talking about grown men saying, mm-mm. She's tough. She doesn't play.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your style in terms of being a sponsor and why is it necessary to do it in that way.
So what I'm really grateful for is that I'm able to sponsor women in the house.
Okay.
So I have a total of 3 sponsees, but 2 of them live in the house that I lived in, which is amazing. So my sponsor is a graduate,
Okay.
and she instilled values and principles in me. So I take from her, but add a little bit,
Okay.
because it's a little different when you're sponsoring a woman at Bloom, right?
Yeah.
Because now you're gonna instill in them what worked for you,
Yeah. Yeah.
and what you did, like
Mhm.
be at the studio as much as you can, do, like be honest to do
Mhm.
this. So yeah, I take my recovery very seriously.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, like I am a little harsh if you're giggling in a meeting or
Yeah.
you're not, like I do, because it took me so long to get here and I
Yeah.
fought very, very hard and I still fight
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a little, but my sponsees love me and they
Yeah.
love that. And that's what made them come up to me and say, will you be their will you be my sponsor? Because
Yeah.
obviously there was something in me that they wanted.
Yeah.
And that's a great feeling, right?
It is. It's an amazing feeling. And you know what it also says? I don't need you to pity me.
Right. I don't.
But I need you to be real and I need you to be live and direct. And I think sometimes in this work and in other organizations, right, we can be so trauma informed or over empathetic that we
Yeah.
forget that people are people and people want real.
They do.
And
Yeah.
they want structure and they want people to
Mhm.
tell them the truth. So I love that people are kind of drawn to that, even
Yeah.
though that they know that you're tough and and things like that. That's what I can't say that I love you and watch you walk into the fire and I do nothing to stop you.
Right.
If I love you, right, I'm
Mhm.
going to tell you the truth. Not
Yeah.
only that, if I've been burned by that fire,
Right.
I'm going to make sure
Yeah.
that I'm like, no,
Right.
don't do it, don't go.
Yeah.
And so I love that. The other part of it is watching the reputation that once was. It's
Yeah.
a different. Your name is
Right.
different, and it's a scripture in the Bible where God says, "I will make your name great."
Yeah.
And in the space of recovery and what you give, your commitment to continue to be a blessing and to be a part of Bloom, it's phenomenal. And many people can come and take and run, but I'm always reminded of the story of the leper, the one that came back to say thank you.
Yeah.
And I think in the way that you show up and the way that you help the
Mhm.
ladies and you give back in this community, it's a continuing
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I am grateful.
Yeah.
So grateful.
Absolutely. Becca, do you have anything?
So we're gonna switch gears just like a little bit.
Okay.
But what message do you want to convey to individuals or organizations working against human trafficking?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
What message do you want to convey to individuals or organizations working against human trafficking?
Thank you. Right?
That,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, because I really think that, there were so many churches that I've gone to and spoke about this, right?
Yeah.
And you'll see the audience and the people are like blown away. And it's like, it's happening here,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the more that it gets out and people see it, maybe the stigma off of the women,
Mm-hmm.
like we're bad,
Yeah.
will go away, because I think that is a really big issue. That a lot of people, you see a prostitute and it's your fault when really,
Yeah.
it's not. I need help.
Yeah.
But instead, I'm the bad person,
Yeah.
And I think that, yeah, so I think it's really just a thank you, because you're showing up for us and fighting for us,
I
when
love
when
that.
other people didn't.
I love that. Something you said makes sense, and I know from working with you behind the scenes on some things, and oftentimes I think we talked about it in our last podcast. We talked about systems and structures that make it difficult after you've gone through your program
Oh
and
yeah.
you're ready to be independent and you're
Hmm.
ready to move out on your own. We can't have the residential conversation without talking about what it looks like for after that when you're ready for, you know, independence. And so, if you don't mind sharing a little bit of the difficulties of your experiences, maybe with systems and structures, and that could be housing, that could be subsidies to help you pay for housing and things of that nature, or the criminal justice
Hmm.
system. You know, what are some of the struggles there, and what do you feel like is working and what's not working?
I feel like the biggest struggle for me was housing.
Okay.
And that's what kept me up a little bit longer. The job was easier. I was forgiven for my record at my job just because they were kind of affiliated
Yeah.
with Bloom. They gave
Mhm.
me a chance,
Mhm.
and now I'm a full time employee there with
Yeah.
benefits.
Yeah.
Um, but the housing aspect was hard. Like, I was on this housing list for 20 months. I get a letter that says, okay, you can, and I go and they denied me for a disorderly conduct charge. I couldn't believe it, and I was just like, I fought so hard to get here,
Yeah.
and now you're denying me, and the fact that my children were in my possession at the time. So then I got denied for that aspect, you know?
Yeah.
So finding the program that I'm in now was a blessing, and I'm glad that I waited the 2 years because a month after I got my place, I had full custody of my kids. I went to court.
Yeah.
I don't think they realize that just because your kids aren't with you doesn't mean that you can't get, like
Yeah.
that you don't have an option to get them. And
Mhm.
that's really tough. Yeah, I went through, I was crying hysterically for like a week. I was like, because I didn't think I was ready to give up,
Yeah.
because all I wanted was my kids back. And I promised them that when I left Bloom, I was taking them with me.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to break that promise.
Yeah.
And I was so grateful when I came through.
Yeah.
Like that's one of my biggest things is like when you say something, do it.
Yeah.
It
Absolutely.
shows who you are as a person.
Mhm.
So I try to instill that in the women and my children.
Yeah. That's awesome. What changes do you feel like needs to be made, especially with regard to the criminal justice system for survivors of sexual exploitation or trafficking? Because what people don't understand, what what's linked to trafficking or sexual exploitation in terms of mental health, substance use,
Use.
which may cause a criminal record. So,
Mhm.
sometimes there are these hard lines that prevent people from moving on with their lives after they've done the work. So, if you had to name something that could be changed or should be changed, and maybe this is in the area of expungement, maybe this is in the area
Right.
of like what do you feel like needs to change there to give people a chance, especially after they have proven,
Mhm.
that they're ready and done the work
Yeah.
on themselves.
So I'll tell you a little story.
Yeah.
Okay, so I left home when I was 15.
Mhm.
I meet this guy. He's like, 30 years old,
Mhm.
right? I run off to upstate New York with him. And I'm there with him, like my mom has no clue where I am. I'm gone, and I'm with this guy, and he has all these girlfriends. It was really a pimping situation, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know that at my age. I didn't know anything was wrong or what it
Mhm.
was.
Mhm.
So I ended up being there for a couple of years. I was 17 and ended up catching this charge from being out there, right? And it was a felony. That charge will be on the record for the rest of my life, right? I can't do nothing with my kids at school. I can't do certain things, anything because of this felony that I got when I was 17 years old.
Wow.
When I was in a situation that I didn't know any better. I was so
Right.
easily manipulated. I didn't even really know about life,
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I have no education. I'm dropping out in 10th grade. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
um, so I hate that that's held. I don't want to say that. I dislike that
Yeah.
is held over my head and it will be,
Right. Right.
we're talking about something that happened 20 years ago
Yeah.
as a minor,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and that will be on whenever anybody looks at that, it'll be on
Mhm.
my record.
Yeah. Well, listen,
Yeah.
we need an amazing lawyer,
Right.
someone who knows the law.
Yeah.
To I often use this term, flipping tables and taking seats, and I think what often happens in this world of trafficking and sexual exploitation is a re-exploitation by the justice system, and sometimes that could be due to laws and things that are in place that do not benefit. We don't like to call victims, survivors. And so I think one of the ways that we need to be advocating for survivors is in the area of policy, and decision makers and things like that. We're in a very much in an election season and things like that. And these are the questions that we can ask. What are you doing, to help survivors? What are your thoughts, on human trafficking, sexual exploitation? What are you doing so to give survivors a fighting chance? Because we heard her say she was ready to give up because she did all the things that were required of her, all the things to work on herself willingly, not begrudgingly, and then she met this mark. And not only that, there's so much that you have to give back that a child could benefit from, that this thing on her record could stop her from saving a life. And so I'm in total agreement with you that is something that absolutely needs to change in the justice system, because what we don't realize is someone can do all of this work and come and meet that, and it can cause hopelessness all over again. And that is one of the biggest things that is hard to overcome sometimes, the hopelessness part. But if you keep meeting a door, getting shut in your face, whether it's housing, whether it's trying to find a job, and things like that, and find a job that gives you a living wage,
right?
It could be difficult. I want to ask this, because I think we're gonna be wrapping up in a few minutes. What would you say was your biggest failure in all of this? What do you see any place where you failed?
After I got here?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I didn't. I fought for everything I wanted. I made goals and I met them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. You are such an amazing person and such a contributor. You are leaving a legacy, whether you know it or not. But if you had to be known for something, what would you want to be known with? In this work, in this recovery world, or leaving the organization, leaving the organization. What do you want to be remembered for your contributions to this work?
Just to be the person that gave back and stayed and helped others like I was helped. That's my biggest goal, is to help other women and just keep giving back and to keep sharing my story, because it is inspiring. God gave me this story. I used to say, why me? And then I thought, why not? I'm now standing here, and all the things that I've been through, my struggles and everything, I overcame.
Yeah.
And I'm on top.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I love that. Becca, any last thought or last question or last thought before we
no more questions. Just that, you're such an inspiration for us staff and for all the ladies that are, in the program, and hopefully the ones that are coming in and everything. And, you inspire so many people. You inspire me.
Oh, thank you.
You ladies do. And,
Yes,
thank you for being here today and sharing with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we I echo Becca's sentiment. You're such a breath of fresh air, and I just appreciate your real honesty, and I'm so grateful that you learned to take off the cloak of shame.
Yeah.
Because now you can walk around naked and transparent, and it's a lighthouse.
Yeah.
You are a lighthouse. And so I thank you for that, and just for always being willing to say, this is who I was, this is where I am, and this is where I am going. So thank you so much. We thank you again for joining us for this episode, and we do want to say again that if you or anyone you know is experiencing human trafficking or sexual exploitation, please call the National Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888, or you can call our Bloom intake line at 484-268-8581. Thank you for joining us for this episode of
All Things Bloom.
We will see you next time. Stay tuned for a few announcements.
Bye.
Hey friends, welcome to Bloom Creative Studio, located at 34 Broadway in downtown Bangor, Pennsylvania. We are a creative studio where we feel art heals, whether you are making it or buying it from our gift shop, where many of the items are made by survivors in Bloom's residential program. Here at the studio, we offer a variety of opportunities to be creative, using different mediums such as clay, glass mosaic, glass fusion, and painting. Make sure to stop by this month on November 28th to support us on Small Business Saturday. Our special sale is if you buy a $25 gift card, you will receive an additional $10 gift card for free. Can't wait to see you.
Hi friends, I would like to let you guys know that now at My Sister's Closet we have a new product called Freedom Glow. This is off of Bloom's Bath and Body's self-care line that we have. This is something that you can buy at the My Sister's Closet. The ingredients for Freedom Glow is cosmetic glitter, aloe, and essential oils. These beautiful products come in gold, blue, and silver.
Hey friends, just want to remind you that our Sunshine and Arise Bloom community group for men and boys is going to begin having groups on Monday, November 18th from 3:30 to 4:30. The venue is Change on Hamilton, located at 927 Hamilton Street in the city of Allentown. Hope to see you there. Send your men. Bye.